So Joe shared with us how important it is to look at choice, the 5+1 ways of thriving. Lindy shared on how we be that leader for impact. But then our next speaker is the marketing director of the Singer Group. Together with her husband, they run a suite of hospitality and tourism related brands. 13 different brands in things like hotels, restaurants, tour operations, travel agencies, and you can only imagine what happens to your business when we go into national and then even international shutdown. So despite the inspiration of this morning, we have to realize that we need to be prepped because things will go wrong. Things will happen to us. And it's how we respond to that despite the frustration. And what the Singer Group have managed to do is not just survive, keep the doors open, retain staff, and still focus, but set the scene for thriving in their business. So Leanne, it's an absolute honor to have you join us today. I can imagine the battle scars that you guys have been through in the last 3 years, because make no mistake, it's still not back to normal, but 13 brands in the most impacted industry on the planet, and there's still a smile on your face. So thank you for joining us today, and love to learn from your experiences how to thrive.
Thank you, and I'm very excited to be speaking to everybody this morning. All the women that came before me. What I just wanted to say was, in terms of self-confidence and self-belief, the question that I've seen been coming over and over, and I just want to say to all the women under 40 on this call today, just wait till you turn 40, because that's when you become fearless, and that's when you stop caring about what other people think. So do not fear 40. 40 is the most liberating time in a woman's life. So those of you who've got a long way to go, I'm sorry for you. Those of us that are there, we know how powerful it is. So yeah, it was a similar morning to this morning 2 years ago, early 2020, rainy and dreary in Cape Town. And we had just heard that national lockdown struck. Now, as Harry pointed out, we literally had all our eggs in one basket. 13 businesses, all in the tourism industry. We should have thought about that long ago, thinking, we perhaps should diversify. But the whole point of growing our businesses was to grow it along the food chain. So keep the money flowing in our ecosystem and service the entire value chain of the tourism experience. So that was our master plan. But then the universe had other ideas for us. So on that dreary morning, I drove in my car in a dead quiet city to a hotel in the waterfront, where I was being interviewed as a finalist of the Positive Role Model Awards, right? But this was the same morning that we heard that we had to close all our businesses. And I sat in this parking lot, in this hotel parking lot. Now, those of us who know the hotel industry, you never lock your doors, right? Hotels are open 24 hours a day. And I sat in this dead quiet parking lot, looking at a closed hotel door, and I had to go in there and sell myself as a positive role model for one of the biggest awards of my lifetime. And I really had to suck it up. I was wiping away the tears. I was struggling to breathe. I was trying to get the courage. And I thought, okay, if I can do this interview today, then there is nothing in the world that I cannot do. And I walked in there. There was one security guard on duty. The hotel was dead quiet. Lights were off everywhere. And he pointed me to this little room that I had to go sit along the table with these really, really impressive leaders and just fight back the tears. Because earlier that morning, I had to jump on a call with my team and say to them, guys, I don't know what the future holds. I can honestly not tell you what the future holds. So either get out, right? Because I'm not going to be able to pay you for a very, very long time, or you're in with me and you stick with me for the long run. And if you've got nothing better to do, stick around and let's see if we can survive this. And I'm proud to say that showing my vulnerability allowed me to perhaps be more approachable as a leader. It perhaps allowed those judges to see that despite the hardships, there is hope. I was able to instill hope, and I'm very proudly won the Western Cape Positive Role Model on one of the darkest, scariest days of my life, after just having told my team that our family business, who'd been looking after them for so long, was perhaps not going to be able to look after them anymore. So with that said, it's very easy for me to stand here and say, one should have a positive mindset, one should have a positive outlook on life. But how does this stuff actually happen, right? Because some people are lucky enough to be born with a positive attitude. But for some of us, we're not. But the beauty of the human mind and the beauty of the human brain is that we can train ourselves, right? Our brain is a muscle. In the same way that we exercise the rest of our bodies, we can train our brains to think positively and act positively. So what I want to do today is I want to talk about professional lives and personal lives. Now, I'm by no means a coaching guru. I'm by no means a leadership role model. I am just really somebody who tries every day to feel content about life. And I've set the bar low, right? Because the theme of the conference is thriving. But I found that sometimes thriving sets unrealistic expectations for ourselves because we can't always be thriving. We can't always be happy because the human condition is not meant for us to be happy nonstop, right? Because we need the dark and the light. We need the ups and the downs. We need weekends and weekdays. So for me, when I adjusted my expectations to a level of contentment, which is really hard for my personality because I don't do lumsick and lazy, right? I don't do mediocre. For me, everything is freaking, you go all in. You do the scariest shit you possibly can. Sorry, Harry, you started the swearing. I'll try and keep the F-bombs to a minimal because those people who know me, like I have the foulest mouth in the world. So for me, when I changed to being content, it was really easy for me to tick far more boxes in terms of my self-worth and my self-performance and how I felt about myself. So I also decided to break things into small little chunks, right? It's very important to have a long-term plan in your life. It's very important to have your 5-year plan, but how about just the next hour, right? If I could just be content for the next hour, then it's very, very, very easy to feel a lot more successful because 5 years, even 6 months, those are long periods of time, but short little bite-sized chunks of successes, that really helps me every day move forward in terms of a positive mindset. Then in my professional life, what I've realized is I know what my strengths and weaknesses are, right? Now, it takes us a long time to admit. I remember in my 20s, I thought and said I could do everything. And it was great because I learned lots of school fees, paid lots of school fees, made lots of mistakes. But I'm lucky that I don't have an ego and I'm not afraid to say sorry. So I always took a lot of chances and apologized afterwards. But I've learned that there are a lot of things that I suck at life, right? So I'm very good. I love people. I'm creative. I love writing, but admin and finances and those things in our business, I suck at that, right? But we're running a massive organization. We're still a family business, but we employ 351 people. And I realized that if I don't pull up my socks, I'm going to land ourselves in a big load of trouble. How did I pull up my socks? I made sure that my team had all the skills that I didn't. So if you look at all the members of my team, we all have a unique set of capabilities, unique skill sets, because I don't need people that look like me. I don't need people that do what I do and people that speak like I do. I need people who are polar opposites to my personality because they are going to be doing the stuff and thriving at the stuff that I cannot do. So I know I've got peace of mind that the stuff that I can't do, my team can do. And I've also empowered my team, and a lot of them are on the call here, so I'm hoping they can testify to what I'm saying. But I've also told them that for me, it's the goal. I don't care how you get there. Just, you know what the goal is. And however you choose to get to that end point, the journey is yours. Just deliver the goal. Because I don't believe in micromanaging. You're not empowering your staff that way. It's very important for me for people to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Being a business, I need a small business. Although we're big, we're actually a family business, we're small. It's important that I know that my team feel like it's their business, and therefore they've got to be empowered to make the right decisions and take chances and take risks. And we did a lot of risk taking in our business during COVID, right? Because we couldn't trade to the full of our capacity. So I just want to tell you about some of the fun stuff that we've done to shake things up. When our restaurants were closed, we were waiting for tours. Now, those of you who had to deal with tours, you know what a nightmare that was, right? And people had to survive, but tours were not paying out. There were issues, and especially if you had foreign workers in your business, you really struggled to get their tours funds from the UIF department. So we decided to write a recipe book, right? We had a restaurant, Blowfish, and overnight we decided to write a recipe book. And it literally, I think it took us about 48 hours to write and produce a recipe book that we promoted online to all our old clients, to all our channels, all our followers. And we asked people for donations that went straight to our teams. And we raised just short of 100,000 Rand in a couple of days that went straight to our staff. These were just by guests, by fans, by people that we know that believed in us, that wanted a recipe book and didn't want to see our doors closed. So that was one of the really inspiring and fun things that we did. And these were team members who were not being paid, but they showed up for work every day. My marketing team, they were not earning a salary, but they came to work, they produced the recipe book. We all rolled up our sleeves and jumped in. So that was a really inspiring thing, because we would not have been able to look after our teams the way that our guests helped us look after our teams. And I think you only get that endorsement if you've proven yourself as a credible brand with a good reputation, where you have a strong community, a community that follows you and believes in you. One of the other things that we've recently done, we've had to change our markets. So traditionally in the tourism industry, you have domestic and international guests, then you have corporate and leisure. So all the hotels, depending on where you sit, you fall into a mix of those businesses. We were traditionally in the domestic corporate market. So practically that's a business traveler coming to Cape Town. But business travel was one of the last markets to kick back, because look here, we're online now. 10 years ago, we would have been sitting in the Sandton Convention Center today. We're online today. So we had to find new market sources. So we went aggressively after the domestic leisure market. That's you and I traveling with our families. That's you and I traveling on honeymoon or a girls' weekend away, the domestic leisure market. But we all know finances are tight, right? People's pockets have been affected during COVID. So we've launched a lay-by program where you can pay off your hotel's accommodation, because we believe as a sustainable business, we want to make travel open to everyone. So now you could stay at a hotel and you can pay off your stay without taking on extra debts, without interest rates. We've made those markets available to people who could previously only dream about staying in hotels. So I'm very proud of the way that we are making travel affordable. We're very proud of how we're changing up the market space. And that's about being fearless. I often say you've got very little to lose. I think in the world of digital, if you make a mistake, you can fix it very quickly. I come from the 90s when I was in print publication, and one of my biggest mistakes was when I placed a print ad at a huge amount of money, because we know how much print ads cost, and I left off the contact details and the name of the restaurant. So I had this beautiful front page ad with no contact details, and it stayed at me for a week because it's print. It was there for a week, and I had to own my mistakes. Just to get back to team. Team are your internal and external stakeholders, right? And I want to talk about networks and networking. This is the most important part of surrounding yourself with the right people that will allow you to thrive in your professional lives and in your personal lives. So all of us go to parties, we all take business cards, we go to networking functions, to cocktail functions, conferences. But that business card can't be lying in your handbag or your laptop bag 5 weeks later, right? Then you're not networking. Just because you've accepted a card doesn't mean you've networked. So I'm very strict about the next morning when I come to work, I empty out my pockets and I drop an email to every single person I met the night before. So it's very important to use networking and be effective at networking. And my favorite saying is, you must never be afraid to ask, and I must never be afraid to say no, right? So I know that because I've made that connection, I've emailed someone, I met them at a function. If I'm going to need something a week later, I'm not coming in cold. I've already opened the door for me to be able to go and ask them for something or ask for referral. And that's called social capital. Your social capital is priceless. So use your networking. The other important things is tech, right? Tech helped us keep our business alive during COVID and now post-COVID in this new world. I don't want to use that C word anymore, but absolutely thrive. And a few tech tools that we are accessible to all of us are tips like Canva. We all know Canva. We're all graphic designers now, right? It's made small businesses look so much better because it's all about the brand. Canva allows you to do that. We use a collaboration tool called Asana to help project manage, because we're not huge teams, but we've got a big business. So Asana helps us project run our business. The other little tip I want to give you is podcasts. Listen to podcasts. Podcasts are incredible. I have learned some of my most valuable lessons with listening to podcasts instead of Netflix at night, right? Now, it sounds really boring, but it has changed my life, is when I've moved off screen and moved onto podcasts. So I'm running out of time. So I'm quickly going to touch on the personal things, because we spoke about professional now. But in terms of personal, the same principles apply. Whatever you do in your professional life, you apply in your personal life. Surround yourself with people that complement you. My biggest tip has been that I have a very diverse group of friends, old, young, different races, different religions. I'm a Buddha Yuet, an Afrikaans Jew. There's not a lot of us around, right? So I'm diverse, but I've gone and purposefully chosen friends that do not look like me, because that has changed my life, because you have different opinions and different people. You get different feedback, and you've got people who hold you accountable. It's very easy to have yarsers in your life who just agree with everything you say. You don't want to do that, because you're never going to grow. And then in terms of tech in my personal life, I use an app called MyFitnessPal, right? Because if your body's not healthy, your mind's not going to be healthy. So I use MyFitnessPal to keep an eye on my health. I love an app called Bloom that looks after my brain. It's a cognitive behavioral therapy tool. It is a great tool just to ground yourself and help you with some breathing. So Bloom is a fantastic app to use. And then there's an app called Glow. We all have cycle tracking tools, but those days that I'm feeling completely overwhelmed and I don't know why I acted like a screaming bitch from hell, I go to Glow and I can see what's going on, right? I know that this is why I acted out of character today. So there are so many tools that are available to empower yourself. And then again, podcasts. So when I'm listening to business podcasts, they're different to the personal podcasts that I'm listening to. But just to end and say, it's easy to listen to all the speakers today, right? And I loved what you said about inspirational versus influence, Lindy, because we can all be, don't want to use the word influencers. We can all have an impact and influence somebody's life, right? But it's hard work, guys. It doesn't come easy. It takes guts. It takes raising your hand. It takes saying yes, but we all have gifts to give. And the way that I've found that I empowered myself most to get the courage to do what I'm doing today is by volunteering. Volunteer at organizations around you, whether it's in your church, whether it's in your community, in your street. If you're an animal person, volunteer at those shelters. But it's the rewards that you get from volunteering are priceless. And everybody has a gift to give, whether it's your time, whether it's money, whether it's your talent, your skill, or just your light. Just shine your light and share your light, because your gift is comes in different wrapping paper to what my gift gives, but it's not easy. It's not easy to go out there and put your hand up, but it'll be the most rewarding thing you've done when you start giving back. The self-confidence, the courage, the people you meet, it'll change your life. Of everything that I've done, the volunteering stuff that I've done, helping other young business people, has really been what's made a difference in my life. So that's a better return on investment than any money that you can put into the money market. That's it. Thank you, Harry. I'm ready for some questions.
Any questions, type them in. I love Amy's confirming what you said there. You know, she got 3 job opportunities just from volunteering. So a question came in earlier on around, what is your favorite podcast? So obviously you listen to a variety. What's your favorite that you'd recommend?
So one of my favorite podcasts is How I Built This. It's how people started businesses. And some of the amazing, really big brands, like the Spanx story. You know, she was a mom of 3 who knew that all women, she was going to an interview, her skirt wasn't fitting properly after she had babies, there were new bulges that she didn't know, and that is how she came up with the Spanx brand. So I love how I built this. Then I listened to a lot of podcasts on parenting. I've got 3 children. My youngest son has special needs. So it's challenging. It puts a lot of pressure on our family, and listening to parenting podcasts and parents who are in similar positions just really doesn't allow you to have a pity party at all. There's no feeling sorry for yourself when you listen to other people's stories.
Absolutely. And, nothing like being a Buddha Jew. I love that. A lot of honesty juice flowing your way. Bisa asked a good question here. What was the motivation that kept you and your family going through those COVID times? Because it's fine to be there for other people, but what was your source?
My source were my teams, right? So the tourism industry is a huge job creator in the industry. Point number 1. So I knew that for every staff member, there were probably 3-4 family members, depending on their income. And our family business had been around for 60 years. So I was not going to let a stupid little virus come and kill what we had built for 60 years. So for me, every day it was knowing that I've got to do whatever I can to make sure that my teams are employed. And like I said to my team, I'm not going to be able to pay you a salary now, but I promise you, when the sun shines upon me, it's going to shine upon you. And I'm proud to say that everybody stuck around. So it really was the people that keep me motivated. I had no choice but to work my ass off to make sure that I can look them in the eyes and know that I've given everything.
Okay. So how do you deal, or how did you deal? Because I think we talk about the stupid little virus as a once-off thing. We're going to have this anxiety and issues going forward in different forms. How did you deal with the staff's anxiety? Because I think at the moment, staff anxiety is still at an all-time high.
It's real.
Petrol price, Eskom. How do you deal with the staff's anxiety?
There's somewhere on our drive, there are videos of Zoom calls like this, where I'm sitting with my team and sobbing when they ask me questions. Where is our tours? When's it being paid out? And I couldn't answer them. So the way that I inspired them was, I think, to just be vulnerable and be honest and break it down, being completely transparent in a time of crisis. You can't sugarcoat things in a time of crisis. Brutal honesty was what it was. And we had to really tell people that, listen, there's no money coming in. How are we going to pay salaries? We've got to pay the rent. If we do this, we're going to do that. One massive bonus that came our way was we lost one of our businesses in COVID. We had to close one of our restaurants, but we got a tenant in, and our agreement with the tenant was that they had to take over all the staff. So that was huge for us because we didn't have retrenchments. We were able to take over, or that new tenant was able to take over the restaurant staff. And that also was very motivating for everybody, because it was light at the end of the tunnel. We all knew that there are ways that we can preserve jobs, that we can start new business opportunities, that we can sell differently, that we can go look for different markets. So I just constantly kept my team busy, active. And we did fun, stupid, crazy stuff. Some worked. We did a wasabi challenge. We spent so much time doing the freaking wasabi challenge. Nobody took us up on it, except my mouth burnt, and we spent a lot of time doing videos. So some stuff worked, some stuff didn't, but we had fun in the process, and we have our battle scars to show.
Okay, so last quick question. Somebody said, yeah, they love your guts. But what helped you have that guts? So the question is, what would you say prepared you to overcome the challenges, other than obviously having 3 kids, because anybody that has 3 kids is very special? What prepared you to deal with that?
I'm hoping the person that prepared me for it is on this call, who is my mother, right? So I told my mom to join us this morning. I'm not sure if she's here or not, but I honestly have to say that it was through the examples that I was given in life. And that is why I'm teaching my children. It is freaking scary to get up in the morning. It's easier to lie in bed and feel sorry for yourself, right? It's easier to say no to that invite to a dinner or a cocktail event, or to go run or go to gym. But we all know it's not the easy stuff in life that changes us. It's the hard stuff in life that changes us, right? And the more you get used to doing the difficult stuff, like speaking to over 190 people on this call, the more you do this stuff, the easier it'll come and the less scary it'll become. So I want to challenge each of the people. We all have our little thing that's scary, right? Do that scary thing, and I promise you the exhilaration and the adrenaline rush from it is addictive. I cannot not live with fear anymore. Or I need the fear. The fear is what keeps me going. That scary bits, those are the things that I look for them on a daily basis, and that's what I do.
Look for what scares you most and do that. What's your mom's name, just out of interest?
Anne Barnard. I wonder if she's here.
Anne.
I love that people have said they've accepted my challenge to do scary stuff.
Anne Barnard is
Thank
here. So, hi, Mom, and congratulations on instilling in Leanne what we've been able to benefit from today, as well as many others. So, Leanne, it's been a privilege to have you here. I think that word guts is what stands out from the chat box that we can see in you, and it took a lot of guts, and I think you show up every day. And in trying to be content every day, that's thriving, because when we're not content, we're not thriving. So thriving is not something you chase one day when maybe, it's in the moment every day. And I think so many great nuggets from a principle perspective, but also those practical tools. Really appreciate having you here today.
I just want one more word here, Harry. Thanks to all the women who are going to be doing scary stuff. I can't wait to see what comes out of this. Excellent.